This is my productivity system. It's analog, it's quiet, and it's built specifically for a brain like mine. Most of people think that the goal of a productivity system is to get more done. I used to think that too, but I've come to understand that the real goal is something quieter. Is to feel like what I'm doing actually matters. Is to feel that I'm present in my own life and my autonomy, rather than just surviving it under someone else's control. And for a brain with ADHD, this distinction was everything. Hi, I'm Alanud. I'm a pre-med student at UC Berkeley, and I have ADHD. This is my channel, My Doctor's Diary, the honest version of what it's like to navigate academics, burnout, and identity in med school in this fall when my brain works differently. Today, I want to share to you my productivity system that I actually use, not the one I wish that I used, the one that actually exists in this journal right now here in my room. And it has 3 levels. Level 1, declutter. Level 2, focus. And level 3, love. So let's go. A few years ago, I had 47 productivity apps. And I think if I look into my phone, I probably can find some of them. Like, no, genuinely. 7. I had the color-coded Notion dashboard, a habit tracker, a focus timer with the plant thing that I don't know, that was like trending at one point. A second focus timer with the animal thing because the first one didn't really work. I had systems for literally my systems, and I still couldn't finish my tasks. Here's what I really didn't understand back then, and sometimes I catch myself thinking about it, is that every tool was designed for a large audience, and that large audience is the neurotypical brain. A brain that can hold open tasks in working memory without losing them. A brain that feels urgency naturally without a crisis. A brain that doesn't get more dopamine from building the system rather than using it. My brain is not that brain, and maybe yours isn't too. The more tools I added, the more decisions I had to make, even before I started working. And micro decisions are the fastest way to drain the dopamine that you barely have before you actually get the work done. So one day, I just stopped. I cleared my desk, I closed every app, I picked up this journal that I've ignored for like 3 months, and I decided to just start over. Not because analog was trendy, not because I'm nostalgic, because I was desperate. And what I found on the other side of that desperation was the clarity that I haven't felt for years. And it turns out that there is actually neuroscience backing this, specifically for ADHDers. When you write by hand, you activate a network of brain regions that typing simply doesn't reach. It slows you down just enough to actually process what you're saying and what you're thinking instead of just transferring it. But for ADHD brains, there's something even more specific happening. Our working memory, the mental workspace where we actually hold all the information to figure out what to do, is running at lower capacity than the neurotypical brain. It's like a browser with like 100 tabs, always. And every digital tool just added another tab. So what does this journal do? This analog closes the tab. A notebook doesn't send you notifications. It doesn't have dark mode. It doesn't show you something or someone else's productivity aesthetic while you're trying to remember what you're actually supposed to do. It just holds what you put in it and it waits for you. So here's my entire system. 3 things. The first is, as I showed you, my journal. This is my external brain. Because ADHD brains cannot be their own external brain, we forget, we lose track, we spiral. So I outsource the job to something physical. Every morning I open this journal and I brain dump. It's not a to-do list, just everything that is sitting in my brain at that moment is going onto that paper. The unfinished assignment, the message I haven't replied to, the thought that I have been carrying around 3 days, that interesting question that I never got answered. Anything, literally anything that is in my brain, I just put it on that paper. The act of just writing it down alone, not just organizes it, but it's also a neurological transfer. Once it's in my journal, my brain lets it go. It literally is, you can technically do this in your note apps if you don't want to get a leather journal. Just write down what you're thinking and you naturally just see your brain. It just was like, okay, let's move on. The second tool is my daily tool card. It's not a full planner or not a weekly planner at all. It's just today. I write 3 tasks, and the one I have is in my bag, and it's inspired by a Van Gogh painting. Art, something that makes me happy. So what do I do with that? Nope, I just add 3 tasks, not a 4th, and I choose them on what I should really be doing. And not only that, but also what does my energy today allow for? I'll explain more about this in level 2. The third tool is my phone calendar, like only my phone's calendar. One digital tool for time-sensitive things. Things I need the notifications for, like appointments, deadlines, class times. That's it, like just the phone, normal iPhone calendar, nothing else. No Notion, no ClickUp, no app that requires a tutorial to use. Just literally like the calendar, just like plus sign, this is what I'm doing, done, nothing else. And those 3 things are literally my whole system. When I tell people this system, the first thing that they say, but you'll forget things if you're not on your phone. And I'm like, I forget things. But like, I understand that fear. I genuinely do understand that fear because I lived that fear. I used apps because I was terrified of forgetting. But here's what I eventually had to ask myself. Am I actually remembering things better with 47 apps? Or am I just feeling more organized? Just feeling more organized when it's literally there's stuff slipping through the cracks. The honest answer was there were things slipping through the cracks. But now I was also exhausted by the system too because 47 apps, nobody needs that many apps. So I asked myself a question. What is the worst that can happen? Like literally, what is the worst that can happen? And what's the worst that can happen if I tried a different system for literally just a week? But those things were, maybe I missed something. Maybe I feel like I'm behind. Maybe the system doesn't work. But to be honest, those things were already happening. So I had nothing to lose. What I gained was this. I stopped outsourcing my thinking tools that I couldn't think for myself. And I started doing one thing ADHD brains are actually extraordinary at: making connections, recognizing patterns, generating ideas, and seeing the big picture. Because I finally cleared enough space for my superpowers to shine. My mind is a great tool, and it's bad for me to hold them back and hold my brain back. This system was allowing me to do the whole thing, so my brain can do the thinking. A clear system is only useful if you can actually use it, and you actually can sit down and do it. So level 2 is about focusing. And for an ADHD brain, focus isn't about willpower and discipline. It's about design. Deep work is the ability to focus without distraction on cognitive demanding tasks. For most people, the limit is about 3 to 4 hours a day. For an ADHD brain, that number is definitely less. But the quality of those windows, when you protect them, can be extraordinary. Like you're doing 3 times the work in less time that other people are doing it. So here's how I protect mine. I dim before I begin. What does that mean? I destimulate. I reduce the sensory input before I ask my brain to do something hard. I put my phone on do not disturb face down. I only limit myself to 1 tab, which is like if I don't want to lose my other tabs, I literally just drag that tab alone. So I only have 1 tab and my journal in front of me. And I play some wordless music, so instrumental music, or just silence. No visual clutter. Every piece of sensory input that I don't remove is competing for the same processing power that I need for that actual work. ADHD brains don't filter passively the way neurotypical brains do. So I have to filter it myself before I start. Second, I physically increase the friction for distractions, not by app blocking or like by screen time limits. No, I just move the object out of my reach. I just take my phone and put it at the end of the bed, for example. And when I want my phone and I see that it's so far away and it's like 10 minutes, not 10 minutes, more like 10 seconds for me to go get it, my brain just is like, I don't want to fucking do that. Like, no. So it just doesn't, and it focuses on a work. Yes, this is something small. It's literally just putting it out of your reach, but it works every time. 3, I track my actual focus. And honestly, in my journal, after every work session, I write down 1 line. How long did I actually focus? And what was the reason that I stopped focusing? Not to judge myself, but to just learn about myself. Because ADHD means my focus window changes day to day depending on my sleep, my stimulation, my hormones, my stress, and pretending I can do 3 hours of deep work every day is literally how I crash. So what do? I work with the window I have today, not the one I wish I had. The second part of level 2 is how I choose what to actually work on. Because for an ADHD brain, everything can feel equally urgent, which means nothing gets done. I use a principle I think of as win. What is important now? Not what's the longest list, not what I've been avoiding the longest, list. Not what looks the most impressive. What just actually needs to be done for the needle to move today, given the energy I have right now. Here's how I operationalize this. Once a month, I open my journal to a fresh page. I look at the month ahead, deadlines, exams, and commitments, and I ask, what are the 15 things that need to be done this month that would just make everything easier? My deadlines, exams, and commitment. Not 50 things, just 15. I spread those 15 across the weeks. Like for every Sunday, I identify 3 that belongs for that week, and every morning I write one on my daily task card. The most important one, the one that scares me the slightest, at the top. The most important one, the one that scares me the slightest, would be at the top. That's my win for today. Everything else is just secondary. And here's the ADHD specific rule that makes this work. 3 tasks, no, for the day. Not because I can't do more, but because the moment I write a 4th task, my brain stops seeing a plan and starts seeing an impossible list, and impossible lists get abandoned. 3 tasks that I actually can finish is worth more than 3 millionth tasks that I would avoid. These 3 tasks would be relevant to my win of the day, so I can complete that win. So now we cleared our mental clutter and we protected the focus. So now comes the level that is almost always left out because it sounds soft, because it doesn't fit nearly into the productivity framework, the pre-med agenda. But I kept it in because ADHD brains specifically need this level is not optional. It's clinical. I want to share something I came across from Dr. Edward Hallowell, one of the world's leading ADHD researchers. He said something I've been turning over in my mind ever since he said it. ADHD is not a problem of knowing what to do. It's a problem of doing what you know that you have to do. I read that and I felt some sort of release because I had spent years, and I mean years, believing I was lazy, undisciplined, not trying hard enough. I had a Notion board. I had the systems that the internet told me to do. I knew what to do. And the problem wasn't the knowledge. It was my brain needed something that my systems never gave it. It's compassion. And level 3 is about designing your system with love for the person that is using it, which is you. Not the ideal version of you. Not the doctor version of me. Not the Berkeley student who gets 8 hours of sleep and never misses a deadline. The real version of me. The one sitting at 1:40 a.m. right now, wondering why can't she finish the last 10 minutes of a physics lecture. That's the person that deserves a system built for her. So here are the 3 things I do that I think of as a love letter to my brain. The first is what I call illegal rest first. Every ADHD productivity guide will tell you to rest after you finish the work. And for us, that means we never rest. The work never ends. That's because we feel like we didn't do enough. So I flipped it. I took my rest first. I took a walk, a nap, a 10-minute with my journal. Nothing to accomplish. I call it illegal because it feels wrong when you do it, but it works anyways. The second is the do it badly rule. ADHD brains struggle with perfectionism, and that leads to a kind of paralysis that you live in, the gap between not started and started. We call it executive dysfunction, but in its heart, as I said, it's perfectionism mixed with fear. A brain that wants the reward of finishing it without the friction of beginning. So I gave myself a rule. Just do it, even if it's badly. Write the bad draft, showing up to the study session even if I'm not gonna study or I'm not ready. Open the journal even if I only have 5 minutes. Because starting badly is infinitely better than not starting at all. The third is protecting my sleep like it's sacred. I know this sounds obvious and like there's 2 million doctors preaching about it, but genuinely, for an ADHD brain, sleep isn't just about rest. It's when the prefrontal cortex, the part of our brain that is responsible for executive function, repairs itself. Skipping sleep doesn't just make you feel tired, it also makes your ADHD miserably worse. So leave your phone in your living room at 10 p.m. Leave your journal on your nightstand and try, not always successfully, but try to give your brain 8 hours sleep so you can reset it so you can work tomorrow. These aren't productivity hacks. They are acts of care for my brain that carries everything else. So that's the system. Level 1, declutter. A brain dump every morning. A daily task card, 3 things to do, 1 calendar, and nothing else. Level 2, focus. Destimulate before you begin. Increase friction to distractions. Work in honest windows. Ask when, what is important now. Level 3, love. Rest first, do it badly, protect your sleep. I built this system not just to be more productive, but to feel like myself again. Because for a long time, I was using tools that treated my ADHD like a problem to be solved. And what I needed was a system that treated my brain and respected it. Your value is not your output. Your value is not your Notion board or your streak or your GPA or MCAS score. Your value is in the quality of attention you bring to the things that actually matter to you. This system just helps you find your way back to that attention, one page at a time. So go do something badly. And I want to know where you are at. Are you someone that can relate with my 47 productivity app era? Or are you somebody that is already switching to more of an analog? Tell me down in the comments. I read all the comments and I try to respond to all of them. And if this video found the right person, share it quietly. They probably need it more than they'll say. Also, I really hope you learned something and be able to respect your brain and work with it. That's the reason I make these videos, is to help other people. So thank you for listening to my video today. I hope you really enjoyed it. If you did, watch my last video on non-toxic ADHD productivity hacks that finally work. Again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and see you next time. Bye bye.